Combine. Andrew Siciliano joining us, NFL Network.
Yes, gentlemen.
3-0.
Good afternoon.
3-0, undefeated.
3-0 on the mic
Undefeated.
this year. Very, very good.
Although, like I pointed out earlier, 4-1 when it comes to attended games. So I was there for the Rams game, which was an L.
Could we present it in a way where 3-0 while working for the Browns,
Yes.
1-1 as a fan?
1-1 as a fan, right? And plus, you could also ask, Bo, like, why are you being negative? Like, accept the 3-0.
Accept the
right,
wins.
Right.
I would
Why,
ask.
why
Bathe
do you
in the
try
glory.
to turn it to the negative
Soak it in.
or the
Let
pragmatic?
it wash over
Let
you.
it wash over
And
you. Let the glory.
For the record, I had zero to do with the product on the field.
Well, you had a hell of a
Listen,
call,
there are a lot
buddy.
of people who are
I mean, we got that
superstitious that
Niners
believe
logo
it.
up right there with
Yeah.
John Lynch on the
There you
screen.
go.
That's a hell
Yeah.
of a call that you had at the end there.
Can Brandon Staley run a 4-3, John Lynch? That would be my question.
He looks like he's saying yes, he can.
Okay.
That's what it looks like to me.
Absolutely.
We were talking this morning. We talked last night at dinner a little bit, and you said you were coming. You had like a tradition. You and a buddy of yours who works in another organization. You go. This is what you do. You go. It's a small world, this NFL world, man. It really is.
And everyone is here. This is the convention of all conventions.
Yes.
Like I was just talking to a GM about 20 minutes ago about how the Senior Bowl is changing, right? Not a lot of people. Not a lot. I mean, you don't see as many coaches and GMs still going to that. And this, you and I spoke earlier, this is kind of changing a bit, right? I think there are maybe 6 head coaches that aren't here, but still – the overwhelming majority of the football world is here. And it's not just, coach and GM. It's entire staffs. Every agent is here. On the broadcasting side, not only talent from all over, but network executives, everybody is here.
Yeah. And it follows a very familiar pattern. You know where everybody's going to be every single night. So you will run into them.
There are a couple of hotel lobbies, a couple of bars that will never change. The key, however, is finding the out-of-the-way spot, because there are some coaches and GMs that are like, I don't want to deal with the mosh pit that I know will be that lobby or that bar or that restaurant. And the fun in Indianapolis is finding restaurants away from this walkable downtown. There's some really good places here.
Sure.
I generally don't make the effort, but sometimes you can, and then you'll always hear the story. Ryan Poles sat down to trade the number 1 overall pick when he and Scott Fitterer, drove 20 miles away from town to eat at an Aubon Pan or something at
They're
7
in Carmel
a.m.
having a nice meal.
Exactly.
Carmel.
Yeah. Is the Jerry bus here? That was always
Yes,
one of my.
it is.
You've confirmed. Okay.
It is here.
Absolutely. I've told my interns that's your only mission this week.
It is.
Get
That's
on the
all,
bus.
Get
every
on it.
time I see
Yeah.
that thing, I just think nothing to me says NFL Combine, like all of it.
The bus.
And
Then
the
the
bus,
bus, when you see
by
that.
the way, they collectively can only stay at certain hotels. They mean the Cowboys as a team, because there is only sufficient bus parking at certain hotels.
That's a good.
So
that's a
good.
good note. Have you been on the bus?
I have been on the bus.
So that's two. That's 2 of them.
Two of the 4 have.
2 of them. We know you have, Gibbe.
It's one of his
Yeah.
great
It
accomplishments.
is one, and he's got many.
It's a hell of an accomplishment.
It is. It is.
To sidle right up in there.
Do you think? And this is maybe it's my mind because we don't have a first-round pick, so I'm not as focused on the draft as
I
normal.
think it
but
is.
it's got to be.
I think it is your mind. Yeah.
It feels to me like there is more business to be done at the combine now around free agency than necessarily the draft. So maybe it's not my mind.
There
Could be
is
both. Lethal combination.
I wouldn't call it tampering per se,
discussions.
but what happens is, let's take Andrew Berry, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it would be Zadarius Smith or whether it would be Nick Chubb or whomever, you meet with the agents that you need to meet with this week to at least feel each other out, to try to figure out how you're going to approach next week or 2 weeks from now on the 11th. And so that business all gets done this week. Player will see it broken all week. Hey, player X is going to get cut. That's because the GM, finally sits down to the owner and goes, hey, we've been talking about it. We think we're going to move on. Or, hey, you can go explore a trade. I don't know. I mean, yes, are there conversations like my guy is going to leave this team and you're already hammering out a new deal? That technically would be tampering, but that doesn't mean, conversations.
Theoreticals bandied about.
Theoreticals can't be bandied about.
That's right.
Hypothetically.
What do you make about so many teams have so many different – you mentioned Andrew Berry, who so often, like our fans sometimes, and even will give them a bad time. Him and Kevin, they don't say a whole lot in their availabilities. So we had Ryan Poles was up, and he was talking about how they haven't made a decision on Fields, and we're going, come on, nonsense. Yeah. Of course, a decision's been made on Fields. It's just a matter of landing spot. And then conversely, you had George Payton with Denver, who was like, yeah, we're going to meet with J.J. McCarthy tonight.
Yeah.
Just the incredible difference in transparency that GMs have publicly right now. I've never seen it such a big difference.
I would say there is a big spectrum here. You can also look at each situation and go, yeah, well, no bleep. Of course you're going to meet with those quarterbacks here. Sean Payton, so I was standing over there. Sean Payton was up right before George Payton. George Payton was sitting there watching Sean Payton.
Yeah. And
Sean gets up there. First question, what's the deal with Russell? Hey, it's going to happen quickly next week or within the next 2 weeks. It'll happen before the start of free agency. We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So, he just laid it out there.
Right.
You don't often hear we're going to meet with player X.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you flip it around, and you always see this at the Senior Bowl, I heard you would see Team X seen meeting with this player in Mobile.
Yeah.
Yes, it is their job to meet with every player in Mobile. That is why your staff is there.
Yeah.
Right? And so that is why your staff is here. It's no secret the Broncos are in the quarterback business. Yeah. They will meet with J.J. McCarthy.
People think of this as a great information gathering on draft prospects, but it's actually an information gathering on the league.
Everything.
On everything.
Of course.
Yeah. And that's the value in it. I think that's why Indy is so good for it because, to your point, it is condensed. Now, if you want to go 20 minutes away to an Obon Pen and be an incognito, you can.
You can, and trades like that are done all the time. I guarantee you that's happening right now, whether it's Tom Telesco just said they're not going to trade Devontae Adams, but, what did Brandon Beane say about Steph Diggs? I didn't hear his session. I guarantee if someone calls up with a Steph Diggs offer, they'll listen.
For
Justin Fields. And that was the one thing that I didn't hear. That was one frustrating thing because I don't know where Ryan did his. He didn't do it in this main center. The Bears had him somewhere else, but I listened to it. No one asked Ryan point blank, do you have an offer yet for Justin?
No, they asked the other. They said, do you have an offer for the one?
Right.
But not for Fields, which I thought was interesting.
Which was
that
odd.
was asked, and the other one wasn't.
And the thing, too, and everyone, I think we all agree, take Caleb. reset the clock. That's the way you have to do business here. But, there are other options. Let's play the thought experiment. It's not a binary decision here. You could trade both Justin Fields and number one. Okay, you could trade Justin Fields and maybe get a 2 and a 5 or whatever it's going to be, right? A 3 that goes to a 2 and something else, whatever. And you can trade one down to 2. Like if you're happy with Drake May, Washington will gladly move up with you. Mm-hmm. Like you really want to hit a home run, you really want to think outside the box, trade one and Justin Fields if you think Drake May can be that guy or Jaden Daniels can be that guy.
Yeah.
Personally,
it's in the eye of the beholder.
I take Caleb. That's just me.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Well, that's what's fun about it. And I think that's what we were saying. You're waiting for that Chicago domino to drop, and then really it kind of opens everything up.
Right.
That kind of is the real table setter for everything, and it changes where Fields goes, changes obviously then the quarterback landscape. And, we heard Raheem Morris earlier today say that if we had good quarterback play, we would have been really good.
Which was right there when he said it.
Which was his blatant
shot. He said, if we had better quarterback play last year,
he wouldn't be there.
I wouldn't be standing here.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's absolutely right.
Sure.
Right.
And everyone said, well, he's throwing Desmond Ritter under the bus. It's already been done. Like I had Arthur Blank on Friday of Super Bowl week.
Right.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Belichick, and I said, well, the thing everyone said with Belichick was, all right, if you hire Belichick, well, who's the quarterback going to be? And he picked up my sentence and ran with it and went, well, it's the same thing now. Like, who's the quarterback going to be?
Yeah.
That was the owner saying it. So Desmond Ritter knows full well that they are in the business right now of replacing him.
I missed that when you talked with Arthur on the week of the Super Bowl. Are you surprised that Belichick got out of this cycle? There weren't a lot of fits for him. That was the one, right?
And the thing that Arthur said, and Raheem, actually Terry Fontenot said the same thing today, and that was Bill Belichick was going to be collaborative and everything was going to be okay. We just chose to go with Raheem. Now, I'm a huge Raheem fan. Worked with him the last couple of years in L.A. with the Rams. Like, if Raheem gets in the room, you understand why this guy needs to be a head coach again. it's still Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
right.
It's still Bill Belichick.
And whether it's people have their theories about too much power for Rich McKay or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do think it is fair to ask. Like it's the old Parcells thing, right? Buy the cook the meal, buy the groceries. Is who would be buying the groceries for Bill?
Mm-hmm.
You just wonder if somebody's setting up to do what Doc Rivers did, just pull him in, fire somebody mid-season, and bring in Belichick.
I always thought Jerry. I mean,
of
felt
course,
like Dallas. Like if it went off, if it started poorly with McCarthy, could he paratroop into that? I don't know.
I can't see it happening in season. Now
He's running Father Time though, undefeated.
No,
he's got to. It's got to go. If he's going to go, it
would be next year. I don't think it would be in season. The fascinating thing for me is, as you guys saw John Lynch up there. Do you call Belichick for that job? I don't think that's going to happen. Or do you call Pete Carroll, Niner assistant 8 decades ago, for that job? That would have been really interesting if it weren't, Nick Sorensen or Brandon Staley or somebody else. Do you want Belichick in your building as a coordinator? Are you comfortable enough as a head coach?
Would he do that?
I don't know that he would do it. But
Kyle and Belichick united?
Coach,
Kyle would have. Kyle.
I mean, look, they made the Garoppolo trade. It's not as if they don't have each other's phone numbers. I think they'd be okay. But as a head coach, do you want that?
That would be interesting.
I mean,
I think Kyle would be very comfortable in his own
He could handle it, but that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And by the way, you mentioned the Bears thing and Fields. I'm sorry, Pohl said today that he wants to do right by Justin if they decide to move on, and likely that is before free agency. Last year, the deal with the Panthers was made, I think, the Thursday or Friday before free agency was to begin the following Monday. So
that's your window.
It's coming soon.
To me, when I hear him say that, based on everything we've heard Justin say, he wants to go to Atlanta, it feels like.
He's from Atlanta?
Right.
I thought he pushed back on that last week a little bit, basically saying, everyone and your uncle is going to have your hands out for a ticket. I mean, there are a lot of players, that don't like to play that don't want to play near home because there are too many distractions.
I just like the idea of him and Bijan and Drake. And
he was very, very positive, obviously, about the roster. The other thing, you got to remember, it didn't end the best for him at UGA. So there's that part, too. Maybe he just but to me, that's the spot. I mean, that's the best spot for him.
The other question that no one asked polls today, and I think this is the one that everybody is missing. And that is, let's say you decide to keep Justin, and there is a very loud faction of the Bears fan base that wants Justin Fields. Are you ready to extend him right now? Because you're heading into year 4, right? Burrow and Herbert. I mean, you could do what the Dolphins did and punt for a year potentially, like what they're doing with Tua here. But if you trade away number 1, you are not just committing to Justin Fields. You're committing to Justin Fields.
100%.
So are you ready to write a check right now that begins at Daniel Jones? Like, are you going to pay him $40 a year tomorrow?
Yeah.
Are you?
Probably
because that's
not.
what you have to do.
That's why they can't keep him.
That's why they can't keep him.
You need to pay him.
Because they don't have the answer to that.
Okay,
but we don't have – the other thing, Andrew, think about this. There aren't – guys, what other circumstances do we have like this where you have a guy who is immensely popular in the fan base, who's flashed, but you're not sure, and then you have a kid who, like Daniel Jeremiah, thinks is generational.
Yep.
Other people's do too. It's a heck of
you got to go.
It's the right spot,
yeah,
but like at
sure.
the same time, like we know owners and like public opinion weighs. I mean, they're going to do it, but it's just this is a unique spot. We haven't seen teams in this position drafting number 1 where they had a beloved guy who they just drafted a couple of years ago as the savior,
right?
Who's young,
your beloved guy in year 8,
right? Not year 4, going into year 4.
I mean, it's not apples to apples because he wasn't good, but it's like when they drafted Josh Rosen. And then we came here, and the next year they had number 1, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, we're done.
Kyler.
We're done with this. But Rosen never showed anything that.
No,
Fields.
and he wasn't beloved. I don't know by the fan base either.
Also, Josh, no. But
he was with us for a
cup
hot
of
second.
coffee.
Yeah,
he was.
Cup of coffee.
Keep an eye on Josh Rosen.
Saw him ride his bike through Manhattan Beach a couple of weeks ago as well. True story. He right down the street. But the thing with them as well is like that he should have known the second. Like, you could have connected the dots.
Cliff. Yeah.
Who's Cliff Kingsbury's agent?
Yeah.
Eric Burkhart. Okay. They were college roommates.
Yeah.
Who's Kyler's agent? Eric Burkhart. Like the idea, like you could have connected all those dots. It was never a surprise.
No.
Like from the second those hires were made.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, be out in the mix.
Be in the mix. Going to be fun. Good talking to you, buddy.
It's
Likewise.
the best.
We didn't even talk about the Browns. We're waiting.
What do you? Okay, hold on. We'll give them one.
What?
What do you want to? Where do you want to see the Browns go in the second round, or just kind of generally speaking, attacking free agency second round, just roster?
You think they're keeping that pick?
I'd like to.
I would like to as well.
That's just because he does a show on Thursday and Friday of the draft, and if we don't pick until the
No,
Saturday.
yeah, no, I've been there. I get it.
He's on a treadmill.
We've
I
waited.
get it.
The MJ Emerson year, we did not pick until the third round. We traded out of the second.
treadmill.
Yeah,
That thing worked out okay.
it did, exactly.
I think, and I'm sure Daniel Jeremiah told you the same thing. It is a very deep class at wide receiver. There will be a very good wide receiver there at 2. But we haven't even gotten to free agency yet, so who knows what holes.
Yeah.
That's
they
the
can
hard
fill
part with
there.
a second rounder.
Yeah.
I mean, if there has to come a time, and I know obviously JOK was taken, where you address that position with something other than veteran stopgaps. I mean, there are some decent off-ball linebackers in the second round, but positional value, the way this organization thinks, I can't imagine that they would do that.
Yeah.
I feel like they're hoping for a defensive tackle that would excite them to be there.
Yeah, or an edge guy
Never.
that would excite you. The premium positions will dominate the first round. If you put a center or two in, like put Oregon, put JPJ in there, maybe Zach Frazier from West Virginia, those are the only 2 guys I think that have a possibility of cracking the first round aside from the premium tackle, wide receiver, edge, corner, quarterback positions. Those 5 positions will dominate night number 1.
Oh yeah,
Good
we saw
seeing you,
last year there were only 2, and I think they were
Yeah.
both the Lions.
Yeah.
Right.
A running back and a linebacker.
Exactly.
3-0.
They're undefeated.
3-0.
3-0.
3-0.
Never lost. He's like
Never
LeVar.
lost.
He's like LeVar.
I'll retire.
No, far from it.